Now, Times Now, whether or not the rest of the media does, Times Now is going to relentlessly follow the case of Chamel Singh till we get an answer from Pakistan. In fact, it's surprising that the rest of the Indian media, a large part of it, has not picked up the story so far. General B.S. Jaswal, former Army Commander, Northern Command, representing the Indian side on this debate tonight. K.C. Singh, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs. Columnist and social activist Firoz Bakht Ahmad has had an unfortunate experience himself in Lahore when he was actually witness to children between the ages of 3 and 16 being detained for a short while on the suspicion of spying for India. I can't think of something more ridiculous. He wants to speak out on this tonight. Syed Tariq Pirzada wants to speak out on this. He's a strategic affairs analyst. And Brigadier Javed Hussain, former Pakistan Army Special Forces officer. I'd like to first go across to our guest in Islamabad. Gentlemen, you see, unless you have something to hide, you as in the government of Pakistan in this case, then the autopsy report must be made public. We want the autopsy report of how Chamel Singh died. Don't you think that's a very legitimate demand now that we are putting forth? Mr. Pirzada, would you like to take that? Sir. Or Brigadier Hussain, either of you. Give us the autopsy report. How did Chamel Singh die?
First of all, if someone has died in a Pakistani jail, be it an Indian or be it a Pakistani fellow, his autopsy report must be made public. It is absolutely a legitimate demand. I don't see anything wrong with it. It is in tune with the tenets of fairness, and that is a point that has to be considered by the concerned authorities, and the report must be published.
But why is it not being made public?
May I just finish the point? Secondly, I have heard these comments being made by different fellows whose clips have just appeared, that as though Pakistan as a state was involved in it. Pakistan has done that. Pakistan has done that. Remember, we are talking about very early stages of investigation.
So early stages?
And the government of Pakistan,
he died 2 months back.
The way it is confronted with the kind of
he
problems,
died 2.5 months back, Mr. Pirzada. How do you call it an early stage of the investigation?
At the present time.
Now, how is it an early stage of the investigation? He died 2.5 months back. Brigadier Javed Hussain, would you like to take that? 2.5 months back, this man dies. He's in a Pakistani morgue for 2 months. The autopsy report has not been put out here. When his body is returned, his internal organs have been removed. How is this an early stage of the investigation, and why is Pakistan hiding so much?
Before I do that, Arnab, is General Jaswal there?
Yes, he is there, sir.
Yeah, very much. How are you, Javed?
How are you, sir?
How are you, Javed?
How are you, sir?
Very fine. Good evening.
Very well, sir. Thank you very much.
Very kind of you.
It's always nice to be with you. This question, Arnab, your question is very legitimate, and I have also read the same reports that you have read. I have no reasons to believe that what I have read is untrue. A tragedy has occurred, but certainly not caused by Pakistan. When you accuse Pakistan, then you are accusing the Pakistan government.
Yeah.
It was neither by the Pakistani state nor by the Pakistani government. Who did this? Obviously, this thing happened in the Lakhpat jail in Lahore.
Yeah.
This has to be investigated. The first thing which should be done by the Punjab government is to set up an inquiry commission, appoint a prosecutor, go into the details of this tragedy, fix responsibility, and hold them accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. So
because
why
this is something? This is something which no Muslim will condone. Our religion prohibits this sort of a behavior.
Yeah.
And This is something which needs to, and I'm sure it will.
So,
It has
but
appeared in Pakistani newspapers.
No, but it's not. You see, if
And
it had been, one second, Brigadier, I first of all reciprocate your sentiments. But I would like to tell you, there is no inquiry, there is no prosecutor, there are no details, there is no responsibility put. I want to now get in KC Singh because this judicial probe is such a sham. It has hit a dead end because of the non-availability of the autopsy report. You say the government of Pakistan did not kill him, but the government of Pakistan is hiding the facts. KC Singh. It's not killed him, but it's hiding something into this matter. I wonder why. KC, how do you view this?
Arnab, before you go to KC Singh, I would very strongly recommend that this be taken up at the government of India level with the government of Pakistan. And I'm sure that what needs to be done will be done to identify the culprits, hold them accountable and punish them.
Yeah, but General Brigadier, you will be happy to know that as in many cases after the telecast of this story on Times Now, the government of India has picked it up. Actually, I wish it did not need the telecast on Times Now for the government to pick it up. But KC, you know, what is Pakistan got to explain in this case in your view?
Firstly, let me agree with the commentators from the Pakistan side. We are not saying Pakistan has done it. But there is contemporaneous report by a prisoner who has returned to India, who was in the same jail, who said he was beaten up by the jailers, some people of the staff of the jail, because he was washing clothes in a public place. And the sad thing is that he almost completed his sentence. It was towards the end of his sentence.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, why has it taken 2 months? You see, this is precisely why individual incidents like this then start affecting relations between India and Pakistan, because whichever side has done it does not unilaterally promptly take action. And I'm also surprised the Indian High Commission in Islamabad and the Ministry of External Affairs
have done nothing.
Has known this. This has been in the public domain for 2 months. Why did we wait for so long after the autopsy was done? The repatriation of the body should have been sooner, and we should have made a demand much, much earlier when this thing happened, so that we should get to the root of it. Why was, somebody flogged so badly in a jail? And I'm glad people on the other side, and I'm sure right-thinking people in Pakistan also would agree. But I can hazard a guess, Arnab, because the beheading of the soldiers at the LOC took place in the first week of January. And I think Pakistan government kept sitting on this. They didn't want one more case to add to the LOC incident, because this happens a week later. This happens on the 15th of January. Now, that's very callous that you keep sitting on this case because you're trying to contain the damage from the previous one. And then come the Hyderabad
but why were we quiet?
And so you keep waiting.
But why were we quiet?
Exactly,
I understand why the Pakistanis were quiet, but General Jaswal, why were we quiet?
Well, I don't think that there was any reason for us to be quiet, because the Indian embassy in Pakistan would have definitely known. But before I say that, I would like to appreciate the journalists, Rana Tanveer, my friend Brigadier Javed and Mr. Pirzada, for being very transparent in this thing, because it's not ordered by the Pakistan government to prosecute that kind of an act. It has been done by some maverick at the lower level. But the question comes up, once the inquiry or the investigation has been done, why hasn't the Pakistan government taken expeditious action? What Mr. KC Singh is saying is absolutely right.
There was an answer.
I
have an explanation for that. Arnab, if you allow me to answer that part.
I will take the General.
Finish.
General, he says, Syed Tariq Pirzada says he has an explanation as to why Pakistan did nothing. Would you like him to come in now? Would you like to complete your point before I go back to him, sir?
Well, I regard him. Please, most welcome.
Okay, General Jaswal, I'll come back to you. That's kind of you. Syed Tariq Pirzada, what's your explanation?
I didn't say that the government of Pakistan has been sitting on that or has been stonewalling. What I'm trying to say is this, that you have to remember one reality. Pakistan is going through a major political transition for the last 2 months. Pakistan has been, in a process of going from a democracy to another term of democracy. May I just finish? Every single institution in Pakistan is faced with multiple problems.
So what?
while this
So what?
thing,
Do you go ahead
this-
and randomly
this
kill an
incident, if
Indian
it has
prisoner
happened-
because you are
May I
going
just
through a
finish?
difficult
May I just
phase?
finish?
Is that why you are not handing the report
no,
so
may I
that the
just
judicial
finish?
process in the matter can begin? You have a problem. We have said before you are a
No,
troubled state.
Hold on.
We have said you are a troubled
What I'm
state.
trying to say is
But
this.
that does not mean that
It
does not
takes
mean that a
time.
troubled state does not
If
allow
we
a
get
judicial inquiry
impatient,
to begin in the matter.
We can't get to the end a resolution of the matter.
No, you have not given. Your government has not given the autopsy report. You want a judicial process to begin. You have to give the autopsy
now
report.
Now that there is a news, I am sure the pressure we build up, and it works both ways.
Where is the news?
Both in India and Pakistan. And secondly, let me emphasize why the Indian ambassador and the Indian government did not seize upon this matter.
That's a good question.
The reason is this: they must have been inquiring into the matter also. Inquiries do take some time.
Oh, no,
so
no.
that explains why the Indian government did not act in haste at all.
Back to General Jaswal if he agrees with your argument or not. General.
Mr. Pirzada, I would say that what you're saying may be absolutely right. Now, there was an impasse in the relationship, almost an impasse in the relationship between Pakistan and India post the beheading of our brave soldiers. I think if in case the Pakistan government and judiciary had reacted fast enough to apportion blame on the people who prosecuted this kind of torture, it would have sent a very good message. Now, with this kind of a thing, definitely we do feel that confidence building would have taken place.
But it
the
did
mere
not
fact that the autopsy took almost, it did not happen, and the autopsy took 2 months. I think now these are the derailing incidents or elements, I'll call, which are not good for our dialogue. It's not good for our confidence building.
Precisely. Usually the question is this, gentlemen. An autopsy report is handed over, the least you can do, the least dignity you show